Here we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New Distributor Training. My name is Fred Holmes. I'm an independent distributor with ZJ International. Got my work shirt on this morning. Want to welcome you all to this edition of New Distributor Training. I was looking through the list here as we were getting going. I can't see you. Okay, some people get real concerned about, geez, is he looking at me right now? No, this is a one-way video. You get to see me, and so I got to make sure I don't do anything weird. That's no guarantee, by the way. I get to see the list of the names of people. If you logged into the webinar and put your name in on the logins, when you logged in, then I get to see who's here. And very excited to see some of our newest distributors joining us. Love seeing some of our field leadership, diamonds and emeralds and platinums that are joining us. Kenneth, good to see you. Lauren, good to see you, and Mary, of course, good to see you. And I'm not going to go through the entire list. What I am excited about is there's quite a number of you that I don't recognize your name. So what that says to me is that this could be your first, new distributor training that you've attended, and so I'm excited to have you with us. Want to welcome each and every one of you. There may even be some of you that are guests that have been invited to kind of take a look at some of the resources that are available to our distributors, and extend a warm welcome to you as well. When we're through here, I'm sure there'll be other information you're going to be interested in getting, but what you want to be recognizing is that today our company ZJ International represents literally the top 1% of companies that have ever existed in the network marketing business, person-to-person marketing, referral marketing, home-based business arena. There's a number of terms that people use. The reason I say that, while we're not, necessarily a large company in the sense of, some of the legacy giant companies in our profession, we are in the top 1% for a number of reasons. Number one, we've been in business over 10 years, okay? That in and of itself is an incredible accomplishment, because most companies in this market space, I mean, if you look at, the last 60, almost 70 years that network marketing has been a profession, a business model, the fact is that there have been thousands upon thousands of companies that have come and gone, and there's only, about a couple of dozen, maybe a few more, maybe 30 companies that have stood the test of time. And so being able to complete 10 years in business puts us in the top 1% of companies that have ever existed. Number two, we are now approaching $1 billion in cumulative sales. $1 billion since the beginning of this company. That is unheard of. Again, less than 1% of the companies in this industry ever last 10 years have something like that. Frankly, we're about $100 million a year company. Less than 1% of the companies ever achieve that level of annual sales. Number three, we have in our company the industry's strongest corporate experience. The owner of ZJ International is a man by the name of Ken Brailsford. Ken is the only man in history that has built two of those, couple of dozen long-term legacy companies. His first company has been in business now over 40, almost 45 years, billions in sales. His second company has been in business over 30 years now. Again, billions in cumulative sales, and each one of those companies continues to grow today. And so when you combine that with the fourth ingredient, which is our product line, products that are specifically formulated to make an impact in people's lives, to provide results that people are looking for, to have a product diversification that meets the needs of virtually every single demographic out there, products that you don't have to convince people they need. They already know they need these kinds of products. They're looking for these kinds of products, and they don't know that they exist unless somebody that they know, an independent distributor of Zija's products, has taken the time to share these products with. You put those four ingredients together and add to it the timing that we have. You know, now at this stage of development with the company, to have a fully integrated vertical corporate structure. We control every every aspect of our product from the ground up, growing our raw materials, our own manufacturing facilities, distribution, warehousing. You put all that together, and that's what creates an incredible opportunity. And today, what our focus is to assist those of you, whether you've been involved in network marketing perhaps in the past, or this is your first time, maybe you're a seasoned professional like I was before I joined Zija. What we do here is we empower you to learn the skills of this unique distribution model. And for many of you, it'll be a way to create some supplemental income. You know, I think for most people, if you had an extra, you know, $100 or $200 or $300 a week of additional income without having to distract from your personal life, from your family life, to, you know, not having to get a part-time job, to be able to build a home-based business that creates additional income, frankly, that would be a godsend for most people. For some of you, you're going to take it farther, and you're going to be able to do as many of us have. Build a full-time or a replacement level of income, yet have the freedom, the time freedom, the flexibility to have a business that doesn't run your life, that you live your life as you have a full-time income, without the requirements of having a boss and so on and so forth. For others, you're going to learn the secret to true financial abundance. And the secret, I'll just tell you right now, it's not a secret. If you help enough other people achieve what they desire, there is no end to the level of success that you can have. I'm looking here, there's actually a few people that are part of this meeting today that have been those people that have been able to create multiple six-figure residual income through this vehicle of Zija International. So I encourage you to grab your notes. I'm going to share a few things with you today. Grab your journal, okay, if you're using that, or grab your notepad. I encourage you to have something that can be kind of a repository of knowledge and information. Years and years ago, I think we're looking at like 33 years ago, something like that, I was a cross-country truck driver. I'd done that for a number of years. I was at a point in my life where I needed to make a change. My older son was hitting school age, had some special educational needs that weren't going to be provided through the school district. And so I was faced with a challenge to find a way to create a significantly above average income to pay for those resources, as well as to have the time freedom to be with him as he was growing up. And none of that was available as a truck driver, but through this vehicle of network marketing, it was. And much of what I share with you during these time frames, the Saturday morning new distributor training, are things that were taught to me 30 plus years ago. While, you know, strategies and tactics and techniques have changed over the years, the concepts have remained constant. They're what's being used by every single successful network marketer. And that's what we're going to be sharing today. Now, a couple of things for you. For those of you, especially if you're new to the industry or you're just getting started with Zija, I encourage you to do a few things. Number one, I encourage you to review the new distributor training and fast start training videos that I've made available online. There is a specific training called New Distributor Training. It's about 30 minutes long, and it's the foundational elements of what one does to build a successful network marketing and multi-level marketing business. Then there are 3 additional little videos, about 10 minutes apiece, that are the ingredients on how to get off to a fast start and build momentum in your new Zija business. Those are available online. Go to my YouTube channel. It's www.youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. That's my name, Fred Holmes Zija, H-O-L-M-E-S. So youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. When you get to that YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. That means that if you do that, you'll get notified every time there is a new video or training or presentation that's posted. When you get there, look for the link that says playlists. Well, it says playlists. There's only one playlist. It is those 4 videos that are there. They're the foundational stuff. It's what we kind of expect you to have, the prerequisites, if you will, to take advantage of the additional things. Now, every Saturday morning, what I do is I focus on a different element of what it takes to be successful in our profession. And it's typically something a little different every single week. And so I encourage you to, be part of that ongoing training process. Don't expect to get the results that people like myself and others have had in terms of, frankly, unbelievable levels of financial prosperity with 60 minutes of training. That's the foundation. Continue that process of learning and education. So I encourage you to get those, those little videos on the playlist, get that underneath your belt. Plug in as a brand new distributor, and there's a lot of you. Like I said, I'm looking here on the list, and it's expanding as the broadcast continues. There's a lot of people I don't recognize. That means you're really new, part of the organization. You may be part of my personal organization. There are other teams that plug into this. That's why I make this available to everybody, because if one person succeeds, then we all succeed. And that's really kind of the role that I want to be part of. I want to make this a great company, which means we're going to have a lot of very successful people within it. And certainly a lot of those people will be in my organization. Now, the plugging in process, understand that even if you're an incredibly successful and experienced distributor, frankly, the more experience you have, the more success you've had in network marketing, the more you're going to understand this part of the process. Don't do it by yourself. Plug into somebody else. Plug into your upline. Maybe the person that introduced you to Zeja's only been in a week longer than you. There's somebody else that introduced them, and somewhere in that upline structure, there's somebody that has experience, tenure, and a story. And plug into the successful people in your upline organization, the ones that can assist you. That is critical to what we do, because you can't do it by yourself. All right. And frankly, the more success you've had, the more you understand this, the more likely you are to do that. So plug into your experienced upline. You're welcome to plug into the resources that I do. I have a newsletter that goes out periodically to the team. You can get on that newsletter. Go to my personal website, fredholmes.com, click on contact, scroll down to the bottom page. You'll see all my contact information. You can reach out to me directly if you want. My email, my telephone number, my shoe size, my favorite color, everything is there. All the stuff you need to know, right? But there's a place there where you can enroll in the newsletter and get that, once a week update as well. Now, today what we're going to do, let me just double check, very good. Of course, Lauren is right on top of this. Today what I want to talk about, and this is the timing of this is essential. Okay, in our business of network marketing, one of the magical things that can happen is when you create momentum in your business. Some of you understand that from a sports perspective. You can have a team that maybe isn't the strongest team out there, but they'll win because they establish momentum in the early part of the game. And once the ball gets rolling, it tends to continue to roll and pick up speed. I use an example. My examples a lot of time come from the trucking profession, because that's what I did. That's what I know. There was a long period of time I drove a truck that had what's called a 4 and 5 transmission, essentially 20 gears. Okay, now I could literally use 15 of those gears just to get up to about 30 miles an hour, maybe 35 miles an hour. I would use, 3/4 of the available gears simply to get the truck running and moving up to about 30, 35 miles an hour. Now, the last 5 gears, that would carry me to, you know, legal speeds, 55 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour. We won't talk about anything above that because we won't. But the point I'm making here is that it takes a tremendous amount of energy and effort, relatively speaking, to create momentum. Now, once that momentum is developed, it doesn't take as much to sustain the momentum and then advance the momentum. The illustration of, you know, with the truck, that's a classic example. I could run through 4 or 5 gears simply to get the truck from a dead stop moving forward at, you know, 5 miles an hour. Then I might run through 3 or 4 more gears to get it up to 15 or 20 miles an hour. Another, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 gears to hit 35 or 40. But once it started moving, it was easy to sustain that momentum and to advance that momentum. In our business of network marketing, it's the very same kind of thing. Now, in your notes, I want to share with you how to create momentum. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to explain to you why it's so important to do that today. You know, here we are, literally the last day of March. It's March 31st. We're going to, you know, open up the books on April 1 tomorrow. And it's an incredibly significant time in our profession because it is the second quarter, second 3-month period of the year. Now, how do you establish momentum? You do the things that we do. What do we do in our business? And for those of you that have already reviewed that first 30-minute new distributor training, you already know this. We share the product, we share our income opportunity, and we teach others to do the same. That's what we do, frankly, folks. That's all we do. Okay? This is probably one of the best parts of the network marketing, multi-level marketing business model, is that it is very simple. I'm never going to say it's easy, folks. If it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was easy to accomplish what I've accomplished, everybody would do it. Trust me, everybody wants to drive my car. Everybody wants to fly first class, to go to the, you know, the undisclosed island location I go to, dance on beaches that, you know, people, you know, see in the movies that are completely empty, pristine beaches with one person. I mean, everybody would want to do that if it was easy. It's not easy. Everybody wants to do it. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Now, the cool part is it is simple. That's the best part. Now, what do we do to establish momentum? The things we do. We share the product, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same. Now, that's from a business perspective. Let's talk about momentum from a product perspective. Perhaps you want to lose some weight. Same situation. How do you lose weight? Well, you don't lose 20, 30, 50 pounds like that. You do it through a daily, consistent activity, you know, that is conducted over a prolonged period of time. In your notes, write this. This is one of the most magical phrases I've ever heard. Consistency of effort and persistency of effort overcomes all obstacles. When I first got involved in this kind of business 30 plus years ago, you know, I didn't have the communication skills I have today. I didn't have the personal development I have today. I didn't have the self-awareness that I have today. I was a truck driver. Now, I didn't just fall out of the cab of a truck, hit the ground, jump up, dust myself off in a $2,000 you know, suit and jump in my $100,000 race car. Okay, that didn't happen overnight. What motivated me was the need I had to provide for my family, my son. What inspired me was the fact that I had met so many people from all walks of life, all kinds of backgrounds, that had been able to accomplish what I desired within this vehicle of network marketing. And how they did that was a simple, duplicatable process. And when I heard that phrase, consistency of effort and persistency of effort overcomes all obstacles, then I was inspired to try, because I had more obstacles than you could ever imagine to being able to become successful. But what they told me is if I did a simple activity on a daily basis and I did it for a prolonged period of time, That would overcome any obstacles that I had. And so same thing in weight loss as it is with building your business. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. How do you go from where you are today to losing, the 20, 30, 50 pounds or more that you need? Real simple. Use the drink on a daily basis, whichever one that is. It could be, Super Mix, Smart Mix, XM Plus. Use the capsules, whichever ones they happen to be, XMAM, XM Burn, XM PM, the ones that help you with, metabolism, and use the tea, okay, the premium tea to help cleanse the body and so on. If you were to do those three things over and over and over again, here's what's inevitable. You'll get the results you're looking for. Use the drink, use the capsules, use the tea, do it day in and day out, over and over and over. It's simple to do that one day at a time. It's a little bit easier on the second day. It is certainly a lot easier on the seventh day. And then 2 weeks into a routine, it becomes more, but it's the first day, it's getting started. Now, you keep doing that over and over and over, guess what's going to happen? Me personally, I'm in my mid-60s. I weigh what I did in my early 20s. Who do you know that is in their mid-60s that is at the ideal body weight, ideal, body mass index, ideal percentage of body fat, no medication, perfect blood pressure, perfect, blood panels, cholesterol, triglycerides, on and on and on? Who do you know? Okay, did that happen overnight? Absolutely not. Did it happen because I started one day and I committed to a daily method of operation, doing consistent, correct activities for a prolonged period of time? That's how that happened. Same thing with the business end of the business. I was not an overnight success in this business, but what I did was actually what you will learn if you go to the playlist and watch those 3 additional little videos on how to get off to a fast start. I built my business one customer at a time, one distributor at a time, shared the product, shared the opportunity, taught others to do the same. And if there's a secret to my success, I kept it simple while exercising one of the foundational success principles: consistency of effort, persistency of effort for a prolonged period of time. That's the key. Now, this consistency of effort, folks, one of the most important things that will be part of your success is the personal development, plugging into the resources that are available to you. As I look through the list here, I see people that I'm aware. Man, there's even more people now that I don't recognize. But I do recognize some of you. Many of you have direct access to some of the top people in ZJ, and frankly, some of the top people in the network marketing industry. I learned very quickly as I first started in this type of business. If you want to have success, do what the successful people do. You may want to write this in your notes. Success leaves clues. If you want what somebody has, you simply have to do what they do, and it's inevitable. And so one of the things I first started to do is I started to ask people, what are the books you're reading? Who are you listening to? What seminars you're going to? Because I found, as a young truck driver, at the time I had, I think, 4 different motorcycle magazines coming to my house every single month, because I rode street bikes as well. And what I found was the people in the meetings I was attending, the people at the front of the room, the ones making the big money, they didn't have any motorcycle magazines coming to their house. But what I found was they were talking about books that they had read that I'd never even heard of. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I heard, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Og Mandino's book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, or the follow-up, The Greatest Secret in the World. I never heard of those books. But fortunately, I did hear a couple of things they said. Success leaves clues. Okay, if you want to have what another has, you need to do what they do. And so I cut off the motorcycle magazines. Okay, stopped reading motorcycle magazines, started reading the books that the successful people had read, and frankly, I didn't I think I probably have maybe half a dozen copies of Think and Grow Rich. I've never read one, okay, because that's part of me being a special child. I'm not a very good reader, but I listened to the audio book. Back in the days, they were on little audio cassettes, and I wore out a couple of those. And so many times I've read that book. There are other things out there. Your upline leaders can suggest and recommend things for you for personal development, and of course, plug into the resources we're providing to you. Now, all of this is leading up to something that's really important. You want to focus, whether you're brand new and desire to establish the momentum in your Zija business, or maybe you've been around for a while. Maybe you have, maybe either you didn't have the timing in your life, or maybe there wasn't as much of a reason in your life to focus on being successful. Whatever the reason is, maybe you've been around for a while and you recognize that you have more within you than you've demonstrated so far. There is no wrong time to make a decision to establish, to create momentum in your business. You can always start over, okay? Your story is never dependent upon the past. The story is always dependent upon today and the future, what you do today to develop the story you want in the future. This is kind of a unique time in the network marketing calendar, because this is, if you will, the spring. Okay, it's during the spring that we plant for our future harvest in the fall. And I want to share with you an example so that you can hopefully be inspired to do the things that are necessary to achieve the goals you desire. When I first started in Zija, I started flat-footed, okay? I'd been very successful. I mean, I'd actually retired at an age, about 20 years younger than most fellows consider retiring, because I did extremely well in two previous companies. My learning ground was the first company, 2 years there. The second company, 8 years. I got in ahead of the masses. I got in at virtually identical to where Zija is today. I got in with an established company that was ahead of the significant growth curve. And because I knew what to do, and I had that burning desire to create financial independence, I was able to retire 8 years later. So when Zija came along, it wasn't like I went from one company to Zija, brought 10,000 people from my previous company over. I did not have those contacts. I started my Zija business like everybody else does, with personal contacts. I mean, some of them knew that I'd had success in the past, but I didn't have anybody from my previous companies join me. And matter of fact, the first person that came from my previous company to join me didn't join for 3 years. It took 3 years to get somebody that I knew from the industry to join me in Zija, and he didn't do anything. I mean, that's, talk about brain dead, right? But the point being here is I had to build my business using the fundamental principles. And so I established momentum. I worked a 90-day game plan. I was able to sustain my momentum and advance my momentum following the natural ebb and flow of the multi-level calendar. I'm going to share that with you in a moment. Here's the point. I focused on 90-day game plans. I put a 90-day game plan into place when I started at the beginning of 2008. Was able to establish a little bit momentum. In the second quarter, I started to get some traction. Traction meaning some of the people that were joined me in the first quarter, I was helping them duplicate, so they started to establish some momentum in their Zija businesses. The third quarter, I did the same thing. I worked a 90-day game plan. Started at the beginning of the quarter, every single day, consistency of effort, persistency of effort. Followed that through, went to my very first convention in October of 2008. There were 6 people on my team that came with me. Today, 5 of those people are diamonds. Okay, that's an amazing statement of the value of being at the convention. Finished that first year of 2008. I sustained activity. Now, I'm not telling you I was putting in 60, 80 hours a week. I wasn't. This business has always been part-time, from home, Some of you know the story. I have my elderly mother with me. I'd actually moved back home to care for my mother. Probably wasn't quite a full year before I started Zege, about 8 or 9 months before I started Zege. And so this has always been a part-time business that I do from home, and I do it around the schedule that I need to provide for the care for my mother. Now, here's what happened. I was not an overnight success, but I did 4 back-to-back 90-day game plans. And by the end of that first full year, my Zege income became a full-time income. Now, I'm going to be candid with you. It wasn't huge. I didn't make big bucks, okay? It was a very modest full-time income. It was, truck driver income. But I want you to think about this. Who do you know would like to have a second full-time income that doesn't require a second full-time job? Something they can do around their schedule of their family and their work and what have you, and do it from home predominantly. What a great thing. I mean, most people would love to have that. Now, here's what's interesting, and this has to do with this concept of creating momentum. While the year's income was a full-time income, half of that first year's income didn't come in until the last 90 days of the year. Half of the first year's income came in the last 90 days. Now, that's very characteristic of momentum. I was sharing with you to get from 0 to 5 or 8 miles an hour in a truck, I might go through 3 or 4 gears. To go from 5 to 10 or 15 miles an hour, I may need to go through another 3 or 4 or 5 gears. I ended up having to do that in my Zege calendar, establish the momentum, sustain the momentum, advance the momentum, and when it really started to take on some serious or significant growth wasn't until that 4th quarter. It's important to understand, if I had evaluated the results of the financial results of my business based on the time that I was putting in, because I put in the same amount of time every day, typically 2 to 3 hours in the beginning, was what was available to me. 30 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, an hour in the evening, whatever. But typically about 2 to 3 hours a day. And I put in the same level of input to my business, but there was a compounding effect that was created through being consistent on a daily basis for a prolonged period of time. But if I would have evaluated the results for my effort at the end of the first 90 days, or the end of the second 90 days, or the end of the third 90 days, it was pretty insignificant. Why did I stay consistent? Because I'd already done this before. I understand that the results you're going to receive based on today's efforts, you don't see till tomorrow. What you do this week, you don't see till next week. What you do this month, you won't really see the results of that till next month. And because I was consistent for a prolonged period of time, I ended up the first year with a full-time income. Now, I did something most people don't do. At the end of that first year, December 31st, went to bed, closed the books on 2008. Next morning, January 1, 2009, I opened up the books for 2009. I set up my year, focused on 4 90-day game plans, and then took that first 90 days, broke it down into 3 months, and then took that first month, broke it down into 4 weeks, and I set up the framework of an annual business plan based upon what I was going to do today, what I was going to do this week, this month, this quarter, and then parlayed that into the end of that second year, 2009, my Zege home-based income with no additional effort, but consistency and persistency of effort, that went over 6 figures. Okay, it put me in the top, probably 4 or 5% of income earners in the country. For most people, that would have been the ultimate goal. That would have been the deal. But in multi-level circles, okay, you're not, number one. Okay, you're not first string player. And so I did it one more time. I did that third year, third, 4 90-day game plans back to back. By the end of the third year, the 1099 from Zija for year 3 was more than double the first 2 years combined. Okay, now, I'm not sharing that with you to brag. Okay, and frankly, you should expect that I'm going to do well in this kind of business, not because I'm special, not because I have unique skills, talents, attributes, contacts, or what have you, because I didn't have, contacts, other than what the average person does. That wasn't the reason I succeeded. The reason I succeeded is I understood what to do. I understood that if I did it, that simple daily method of operation, if I did it consistently for a prolonged period of time, that I would get the results. I had faith and confidence in the system, and faith and belief that the people I was looking for would be brought to me. Okay, and that faith, that confidence, I did the doing part, and the rest is history. Okay, now let's bring this back to you. Today, we're at the beginning of the second quarter in the multi-level calendar and with Zija. We have a very unique time in the history of Zija. In just over 6 months, Zija International at our corporate event it's going to be in Orlando, Florida. At the corporate event, Zija will be unveiling Zija 2.0. Zija 2.0 is kind of, it's just a, it's a name, it's a moniker that we're using to illustrate the enhancements that are going to be put into place to take Zija from where it is to where it's going to go. See, there was a certain environment, there was a certain infrastructure, was a certain focus and philosophy that took our company from $0 a year in business to over $100 million a year in business. We're approaching $1 billion in cumulative sales over 10, almost 11 years now. What we did to get in that first stage of growth, we cannot go to the next stage of growth with the same vehicle. Okay, it's just, if you're a race car driver and you're starting out, on the county circuit, you might be able to get away with a stock car. If you want to get into the faster races, you're going to need to have advanced equipment. You want to go Grand Prix, you're going to have more advanced equipment. Same basic concept to win the race, but you're going to use a different vehicle at each stage of development. Zija 2.0 is in preparation, as we're talking today, to take the company from a $100 million a year company to the next phase, which would be a $300 million a year company. I had the opportunity with my last company to be with a company during that transition, and I made an absolute fortune because I leveraged what the company had done in the years before, and I got in before the masses and the big, and this is where you folks have right now. This is why it's so important to understand the foundational elements that create success. And you're literally in a position today, as we move into the second quarter of Zija, of the calendar, to create a 90-day game plan that will help you capitalize on all the things that are going to be coming down the pike. And let me tell you how this is going to work. If you focus on a 90-day game plan, carry you through the beginning of July, you will establish momentum, you'll be able to sustain it and advance it. Then in July, if you do a second 90-day game plan, sound very familiar? It's exactly what I did before. That second 90-day game plan, July, August, September, you will be able to take the momentum that you've established and advance it and teach others to do the same, and that will carry you within a few days later, the first week of October, the Zija convention. And you can walk into the Zija convention and the unveiling of all the aspects of Zija 2.0, the next evolution of this company, but you can arrive with a full-blown organization, customers and distributors that are already in, they're trained, they're going, and you will have incredible leverage for what will happen in the last quarter of this year with the unveiling of Zege 2.0. So for those of you that maybe you haven't even started, and you're wondering, can I still accomplish the kinds of things that people like, Fred Holmes did? I see Pat Anderson, I see Amy McKenzie, Debbie Ballmer. I mean, I'm seeing some of the who's who of our organization right here, in this little meeting. Can I do that, folks? You can dramatically surpass the results that people that like myself and others that I've mentioned have gotten, because number one, you have the timing. Number two, you have the experience of the people that have gone before you. Number three, you have not Zege 10 years ago, you have Zege today. Corporate leadership, product diversification, compensation plan, and the advantage of the momentum the company is establishing. And so one last comment I'm going to make, and then I'm going to open up for questions. One way or the other, 3 years from now is going to come, okay? This was kind of my mindset when I first started Zege 10 years ago. One way or the other, no matter what, 36 months from now is going to be 36 months from now. I mean, good Lord willing, we don't want to have any terrible things happen personally or whatever, but believing that things will pretty much be where they are today. Things are pretty much, today where they were 3 years ago, in terms of the world, pretty much, relatively speaking, they're going to be about the same 3 years from now. 3 years from now, you're going to be 3 years older. Okay, your kids will be 3 years older, or your parents will be 3 years older, or your car will be 3 years from now is going to be 3 years from now. The only difference between what you will have 3 years from now is what you do today, this week, this month, this year, next year. Okay, and if you could ensure that 3 years from now your personal financial situation, your personal financial security, your personal lifestyle, your personal ability to give to your family, the community, the things you care about, your church, if you could ensure that you could do that at a much different level, why wouldn't you do it today, this week, this month, this year? That's the only thing that separates you over the next 36 months from what you dream of, and what you're going to have is what you do today. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the little chat box. I'm going to open up for questions. Let's see here. What do we got? Let me try and get this a little bit bigger. What did I do? There we go. Does that work? That works. Morning. Okay, let's see. Folks, there should be a little chat window, a little bubble box. If you have a question, I'd be happy. I allocate the last several minutes of Saturday morning to any questions that I might be able to help with. Kevin, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate the kudos. I figure it takes 2 days for a truck driver to figure out how to do it. Oh, man, that's an inside joke. My dear friend, Bobby Tyler, he's been learning the technology of a Zoom meeting, and he just said figure it takes 2 days for a truck driver to figure out how to do a Zoom meeting. So the average person can do it 1 day, and truck drivers take 2 or 3 days to figure out how to do it. Hey, but listen, consistency of effort, persistency of effort, exercise over a prolonged period of time, and you can accomplish anything. Very good. How to motivate new enrollees to catch the wave. Thanks for all you do. Okay, very, very good. Lauren has this comment, how do you motivate new enrollees to catch the wave? Folks, that's always been a question, okay? How do I motivate this person? How do I motivate that person? My personal feeling is, folks, you can't, okay? So just take that one off your plate. Okay, you are not responsible for the motivation of another. Here's the requirements to be successful. It's certainly the requirements to be successful in pretty much anything, but specifically within Zija, network marketing business. You must have the willingness to work. Okay, you got to do the doing part. All right, got to have good work ethics. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be able to work 60 hours a day. What I'm saying is if you commit to talking to one or two people today, do it. If you commit to being somewhere, you are there. All right, those are good work ethics. Willingness to work. Number two, you got to be willing to learn. Folks, unless you've already made $1 million in any business, but certainly this one, you got to accept the fact you're not a professional. Okay, be coachable. It's funny, when I first started network marketing, the only question I asked was, what do I do? And the next question I asked is, what's next? Okay, kills me. I mean, it floors me when I'm talking to a brand new person and they proceed to explain to me how they plan to build their business. They want to make $1 million and they're going to tell me how they their plan on how to build their business. And you find out they've never made $1 million at anything. Why would you, why would you, if you didn't have any experience, tell the person that knows how to do it what your plans are? Be coachable. Follow the leaders. Willingness to work, willingness to learn, burning desire to succeed. That third ingredient you got to bring with you. My burning desire to succeed in this profession 33 years ago was to provide for the future of my son. Okay. When I started with Zija, my burning desire, don't get me wrong, I was certainly interested in the income that could come from being part of this kind of company. And it's, my Zija business has eclipsed any previous, success I had previously. But my burning desire was to be part of the development of the culture of a company that would be around long after I'm gone, and to provide for others a vehicle so that they could also experience the freedom of knowing that you can take care of the money issues no matter what happens and what comes your way. All right, that was my burning desire. So, question, how do I motivate a new person? You can't. They got to bring that with them. Why they need to be successful is frankly the most important of the three. Willingness to work, willingness to learn, burning desire to succeed. That's the most important one. Why they need to be successful, they got to bring with them. Now, you can inspire people. And folks, I've heard this so many, Fred, you're so motivational. I hope I'm not. Okay, because that's not something I can do for somebody. I do hope that I am inspirational, that I can inspire somebody, and that's what you should seek to do, to inspire somebody to succeed. Believe in them. Share the stories of others that have had similar experiences and the results they've had. Whether it's somebody who needs to lose weight, never been successful losing weight in the past, share with them your story of losing weight and the stories of others that have been successful. Inspire them to do the doing part, because we already know if you use the drink every day, if you take the capsules, if you use the tea, and you stay with it long enough, you're going to lose the weight you need to lose, or you're going to build the strength you need to build. Okay, today, it didn't happen overnight, and you young fellas that go to the gym and get all buff and cut and ripped and all that stuff, you have no idea how hard it is to do that when you're 60. Okay, I look good. Didn't happen overnight. Okay, every single day, daily method of operation. Hope that helped. Let's see, so true for any system motivated. When my process joins team, should I have a system in place to create such a system so I can track mistakes and things? So, wow, Ray, boy, that's a tough one. Folks, every leader has certain things that they do that have worked for them. The question is, should I have a system in place or create a system? to help track the mistakes that my new person might make, and I'm assuming, help them, not make the mistakes that you made and that sort of thing. Honestly, I wouldn't worry too much about that, okay? Focus more. If you listen to those 3 little, fast start videos that I do in my, new distributor training playlist, check that out. Here's what I do know. If you can get a new person in, get them trained, get them going, help them get their first 2 people. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to believe it works. Get a couple of customers, make 30, 50 bucks. And how they did that is how they get the next 2. And then how they got those 4 is how they get the next 2. And then help them get a couple of distributors. All you're asking for them is to do the doing part, work with you, stay with you long enough to get results. If you can get somebody a story, to me, I believe that is the very best thing you can do to ensure their success. When I started in my Zija business, that's all I wanted to do, was to build my story in the beginning, because the story would illustrate the path to success. I'd like to give you the book, the 237-page manual on how to build a business. The only problem with that is there isn't one. And if there is one, I'm never going to talk about it, because you know what? It does not fit into the fundamental things that we do. Anything that you're doing that isn't directly related to share the product, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same. If there's anything else in there, trust me, it's a distraction. Don't do it. Believe that the people, when I bring somebody into the business, I take them on face value. I don't care who they are. Successful business person, welfare recipient. I believe when people tell me they want to do this to change their life, I believe them. So I get them in, get them trained, get them going. As long as they complete those 3 things, I'll work with them. I never prejudge. You never know. My sponsor in my very first company never thought I was going to make it. Okay? Now, I proved him wrong, all right? And he was very happy, made a lot of money. But he did not keep me from starting. Okay? And honestly, I had to learn an awful lot that I didn't learn from him. So hopefully that's helped, folks. I apologize. Normally, I would go ahead and keep taking questions. I'm going to shut this down for right now. You can stay logged in if you want. I'm going to cease the recording. This will be posted on my YouTube channel here shortly. In 5 minutes, we're going to come back for the team meeting, first Saturday of the period team meeting. It's not going to be a long time. I've got some information to share from the Diamond Club call of earlier today. A couple of specific notes about this period and the focus for this period. But I'm going to go ahead and step out for a moment. I'm going to go check on Mom. We'll be back here in 5 minutes for the first Saturday of the period team meeting. Hope this has been helpful. We'll see you in a few minutes. Take care.